I have a theory about how the Southern accent evolved. It goes a little bit like this. After the 1860s, the South no longer wanted to speak like the North. Back then, what teachers would do is they would beat the crap out of you until you spoke a certain way. This eliminated your original accent. And they did this because a lot of immigrants would come in and they would shift the way normal people would talk. So the uneducated and the educated would speak differently. And it was a wide gap. It was enough that you could physically know if somebody was educated or not just based on how they spoke. The South, after Civil War, did not want, as an act of defiance, allowed their accents to evolve naturally. And I'm going to show you just one, okay? Because there's a lot of ways accents were influenced. A lot of those had to do with immigrants coming in and the old and the new accent mushing together. But we can pretty much say with somewhat certainty how the original Southerners would have talked in the 1860s. And that would have been more like this. They would have talked a little bit higher, and they would have dropped a lot of letters, but it was still known to be talked like this. And this is how General Lee would have talked, and it's how most Southerners would have talked. And it is also how most Northerners would have talked too, at least all the way up to about where New Jersey's at. And it was like this because teachers would beat the fuck out of you if you talked a different way. And you notice that a lot of people back then on recordings, that's exactly how they would talk. It was not. And then so that being our baseline accent, which is kind of like a Colonel Sanders type thing, but everybody talks like that. I mean, everybody did. To the South now not allowing kids to. I mean, they would still talk like that because that's how you would normally talk. It just wouldn't be beat into kids to talk like that. So what would happen is you'd have parts of the South that are semi uneducated and poor. And I say this because these people were most likely to chew chewing tobacco. And this is why you get pockets of the South that talk like this and not regions. And usually the richer people would still talk like this, because it was a class thing back then. Rich people didn't chew tobacco. They just didn't. It wasn't due to health reasons, it was due to class reasons. Classy people just didn't chew tobacco. So what ended up happening is you'd get a Southerner, and he would still be talking like this, and he'd pack out some tobacco to the side of his mouth. He wanted to clench that side of his mouth. Clench it, you don't have the vocal range you used to have anymore. So to talk like this, you're going to be muffled, because you can't move this side of your mouth. So, to be understood, your throat's going to move forward a little bit. And now you got the quintessential accent for some Southern reasons. The proto one. Because this is still not the normal accent. Yeah, you still got tobacco in your mouth. So they're going to they're going to cross jaw. And you're going to talk like this for a bit. You want your tongue to be as far away from that tobacco as possible. So you're going to start talking like this. It's a natural progression, and you can still hear the original accent in my voice because it's not natural. Take out the tobacco now because teachers were educated people. And although not the best educated people, they statistically didn't chew tobacco back then. So you would still have your teacher talk like this, or like this. And it would still be natural. Now the kids would blend the two together, and you get this accent. You get the goofy voice. But you get it together, and now it's evolved into this accent. And that's why a lot of the South talks like this. They also talk fast Because the best way to talk like this is to talk fast. Because it evolved from people smoking tobacco. Not smoking, I mean chewing tobacco. And you want to get your information out because the more your mouth moved, the more that tobacco would cross your tongue. And that shit was nasty. And that's my theory on it. As I said, it went from talking like this to still talking like that, but with tobacco to your side. And to get intelligible answers, you have to speak higher. Because that. Two little kids going to school, hearing their parents talk like that, because chewing tobacco is freaking addictive. And so they're talking like this, naturally. To teachers, who still talk like this, beating the crap out of them. Not really, but they're exposed to their teachers more than they were to their parents. So then the two accents would have blended together, and you would have got this, which sounds like a natural speaking voice over this, because it is a natural speaking voice. Your actual jaw is now moving. This one not so much, but you're still moving your jaw. You're just moving your tongue to the side of your mouth, not clenching your jaw. And that's how kids would have learned that accent. Because I don't think kids would naturally chew tobacco. It's just not something I don't think they would do. They might have. There might have been many kids do that. And you gotta remember, kids are just trying to mimic the sound. They're not necessarily trying to mimic the action.